I've been thinking a lot about health and external things that get in our way. And that's where today's conversation is coming from. So drinking is reserved for adults and the cool kids who are, willing to rebel against everyone else. And we see this message everywhere. It's on television, movies, even in our own backyards. I've been to many parties, holiday celebrations with family and friends where me deciding that I didn't want to drink was met with looks of confusion and annoyance. And then all of a sudden, I'm being made to feel like I'm somehow going to ruin the party, that I'm the downer, right? And a lot of the times, I gave in. So if you don't drink, you're seen as boring, old, lame, and nobody wants to be that wet noodle at the party that's going to get blamed for its failure if it doesn't go well, right? So I want you to think about this double-edged sword. When you drink, you're more likely to do something stupid or even to say something stupid and ruin the party, right? Because what you do might be unforgivable and people are going to be upset with you. So one way or the other, you're the blame for the reason the party didn't go well. The other thing that happens when you drink is that you might hurt others because you're not thinking and you say and do things, like I said. And the problem is that when you hurt others, now you're the demon and fully blamed for your actions. It's good that we're no longer excusing people's bad behavior based on drinking because, that's just wrong. We have this idea, though, that we're supposed to be able to manage our liquor or just don't have any. But I want to see if you guys can see that hypocrisy, because when I turn on and say I don't want any, I'm ruining the party. Now, the other issue is that if I actually, for some reason, I'm one of those people that ends up being addicted, well, now you're blamed because you're weak or you're reckless, because if you were really being moderate, you wouldn't have become addicted, right? The problem is we ignore the fact that what we're actually drinking is a toxin with the purpose of causing intoxication and, unfortunately, addiction. Now, I think we can all agree that more people struggle with drinking than necessary because we've deemed it normal and expected for adults to do. But what's frustrating to me is the number of not only adults, but children who have health issues because we've done the same thing with sugar. Sugar is advertised as the best energy for the body and essential for us to have at every meal. And a good motivator, right? Because we give it to our kids to get them to do things. And we even treat ourselves as adults for having done things that you probably should have done anyway. If you don't eat sugar, people think that you're on a diet immediately or that you're just weird. I remember when my nephew was little, I could not comprehend that he didn't like chocolate. It's such a strange thing to focus on, but it blew my mind. How could he not possibly like chocolate? Chocolate's delicious. Everybody likes chocolate. It's not true. Not everybody likes chocolate. I like chocolate. And when we like something, did I like it? That's a whole other conversation. We can't fathom that somebody isn't wanting to do the things that we want to do. Eventually, when you're eating all this sugar and you gain weight, it's your fault because you're weak, lazy, or just a glutton, because you should have been able again to have managed that. And when you end up with health issues that's related to being overweight, those health issues are actually ruining your life. The problem is that you didn't have control, right? Or you made bad decisions. And what happens when you actually feel ashamed? Well, first of all, be feeling ashamed because everyone's telling you it's all your fault. The second of feeling ashamed because you're overweight. You don't want to eat out because you don't want people judging what you eat. You start to have mental health issues and you're suffering. You're the one who's then seen as weak. We ignore the fact that sugar is toxic when you have it in large amounts. And I've even been thinking about that idea, because is it toxic only in large amounts? Can I point out that the only sugar that our body actually makes is glucose? That's a whole other conversation again. We ignore that sugar is addictive, despite all the research that shows that sugar lights up the same part of your brain that other substances do. And we sure as heck ignore the fact that food companies hire food scientists to create hyperpalatable foods. Hyperpalatable is a fancy way of saying addictive. And their goal is creating an alluring combination of fat and sugar and carbohydrates and salt, and to make food taste so tasty that not only do you finish the serving, you want to finish the complete container because it's just so delicious? Or is that just, again, a fancy way of saying it's just so addictive? I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated that many doctors will say things like, maybe cheat days aren't harmful or that bad of an idea. And that they'll turn around and say, oh, what you can do is you can just recover. And they don't talk about the fact that we can't actually fully recover because whatever you ate is now a part of your body for the next 7 to 10 years. So how am I going to recover from that? Right? I can't just do better tomorrow and fully recover from that. 7 to 10 years. I'm frustrated because doctors and nutritionists still continue to push this false idea that what we eat from one day to the next is separate and unrelated. This kind of just, oh, you did that yesterday, would just do better tomorrow. Not realizing that most people who struggle today will struggle tomorrow. Doctors used to tell us that if you ate 1,500 calories per day, it didn't matter what the food was. And now we're being asked to believe that if we eat cookies, chips, and garbage on the weekend, we can recover by quickly getting ourselves into ketosis during the week. Wellness warrior, I need you to keep in mind that if you chew up some hot peppers and spit them out, you still feel the heat. The fact that it was in your mouth is still evident. Just because drinking, eating sugar, or any other toxin that we ingest doesn't end our life immediately, doesn't mean that it isn't causing internal damage. And the worst part is that food companies are aware. And I believe doctors and nutritionists who actually understand the body are also aware. Why do we all act like this isn't reality? That confuses me. I don't know. But I'm curious. Am I the only one that can see that food companies are prioritizing profits over our health? I want to know your opinion on this. I felt this way since I found out that food companies are allowed to put sawdust in our food and call it fiber. I can guarantee you, I would never voluntarily eat sawdust. They're putting it in my food. Well, not my food anymore. They were putting it in my snacks. And here's the problem. If you're hooked on their junk, you're going to eat whatever they put in it. If you want to stop chasing snacks and junk food and garbage, check out the video that I'm going to link here. It's also going to be in the description.